guys, today is going to be a different video than what I usually post. It's a lot more personal than what I usually share in my vlogs, but when I was looking on YouTube for videos on this topic, I couldn't really find anything. I couldn't find videos about people's experience, and I didn't know what to expect, and I had a horrible experience. So I wanted to make sure that didn't happen for other people. I wanted to help prepare you in case you have to have this procedure, and just be super honest so you know what to expect. And I also have some tips that I think could help avoid having the experience that I had. So if this isn't your kind of thing, below you can click my name. It'll show my videos. I have playlists if you want to see regular vlogs or Vegas content. But if you're interested in my experience with this procedure, keep watching. So I recently had a laser procedure to get rid of a kidney stone. And during this whole process, it was kind of a long process. So I waited until everything was finished before I sat down to make this video. But during the actual process and the appointments leading up to it, I vlogged a little bit. So I'm gonna start by giving you a little bit of a backstory, and then I'm gonna include the clips from days that I had appointments and the procedure. I vlogged a little bit, so I'm gonna throw those in, and then I'll explain what happened after, and then I have some tips too. A few years ago, my doctor kind of accidentally found a kidney stone, and it was large, so they said it can't come out on its own, it can just kind of stay there. Hollywood is biting my foot right now. Whenever I get this ring light out, Hollywood is into it. It wasn't causing any pain. I didn't know I was there. Like I said, it just happened to show up when they were like looking for something else. And they said it was too big to come out. So I saw a urologist, and he just said, you know, like we could do the shockwave to break it up. But then when you break it up, your body has to pass it, and then that's when you have pain. It's like, why would I want to break it up and make it come out and make me have pain, you know? And the urologist was like, we could just leave it. You know, it's too big, it can't come out. So I was just like, okay, cool, like let's just leave it. So that was a few years ago. And I was talking to my friend maybe like a year ago, and she has kidney stones all the time. She's had them removed. So she kind of like, she asked about it. I was like, oh no, we're just leaving it. And she's like, you can't just leave it. Like you have to get it out, because whatever like the kidney is attached to, like the way it passes, like when it tries to come out, if it blocks that, it would be a very serious issue. So I'm like, okay. So I make an appointment with a new urologist, because I'm like, you know what? I feel like that doctor just wasn't aggressive enough. I typically like an aggressive doctor, you know, let's take care of stuff. Let's make sure this is not a problem. So my friend recommended this guy. She's like, oh, he has really good reviews. He wins all these awards. Like he's like a top rated urologist. So I'm like, okay. So I make an appointment with him. So then they had to send me out for more imaging. And then, you know, he confirmed, okay, it's too big. It's not coming out on its own. And so again, he brought up the shockwave thing. And in my head, I'm just like, why would I choose to do something that's gonna put me in that much pain, like excruciating pain? So I was like, no, I've been doing my research, you know, because I've been thinking about this the whole time. Like it was a few years, but like I knew one day I was gonna have to take care of it. So I was like, I want to do the laser procedure. Like go in there, destroy it, let's get this over with, you know? And he explained that that is an invasive option, definitely the more invasive option, and they usually start out with a shockwave, and if that doesn't work, then they do the laser. And I'm like, no, I understand. I'd rather go with a more invasive option. I just want to get this taken care of. Because my friend said she's had the shockwave done in the past, and they have to keep doing it, and it's not successful, and you're in pain. And so I'm like, no, let's just bypass that. So he's like, okay. So they gave me an order for all of these tests that I had to do before surgery. And then they also gave me a list of things that you're not allowed to eat if your body makes kidney stones. So they're saying, if you eat these things, like for someone who's prone to making kidney stones, so like my body makes them, if I eat certain food, it's like more likely I'll get more kidney stones. So I'm gonna go over all of that at the end with the tips. So let's start with the vlog of my whole experience.
So I still don't know why I'm here. I filled out the forms, and they gave me a hospital bracelet, and I guess it's just gonna be a surprise. Because that was quite the assembly line. So I filled out my paperwork, and then you do a urine test, an EKG, x-ray, like a lung x-ray. So they weren't even like looking at my kidneys today. And then you do a nurse interview, which I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so serious. Like what do I have to interview for? Okay, so they gave me pre-op instructions. They did not give me a time for surgery yet, so they said I should know the day before.
On the day of the procedure, it was kind of ridiculous. I waited so long, like it was awful, but I'm like, okay, like we're gonna get this taken care of. Okay, so I've been waiting like an hour and a half. They said I'm next, probably like another 20 minutes. So I'm just like hanging out in like, I guess the pre-op room or whatever. You're not allowed to record. So they asked me a million questions. They put my IV in, they took my blood pressure, and I am ready to go. I made friends with the nurse and they brought me this comfy chair. I mean, I have been waiting hours, so. So normally I would recommend that you sleep during this time because I have been at the hospital for 3 hours so far and still waiting. But this is just not comfortable for me, so I can't sleep on it. But if you guys can, if you guys get a comfortable bed, definitely sleep while you're waiting. The doctor comes in like right before, and I asked him about medication. So I tried to do as much research as I could. And like I said, there weren't a lot of videos, like no one sharing their experience and like giving tips or this what I did. But one thing I did find, I think it was an article I found, I Googled it. And they said to ask your doctor for the tablets that a doctor prescribes if you have a UTI. They're little red tablets. They turn your pee orange. They said to get that for like the pain, you know, like when you're going to the bathroom after. If this is like, if you guys think this is like too TMI, click off. I asked him like, what do you prescribe? And then I was gonna ask him like, can I have something that's not a narcotic? Because that's just too much, like it'll give me migraine. So he was like, oh, we actually don't prescribe any pain medicine for this. So then I'm thinking like, oh, well, it must not be like bad if they're not giving any pain medicine, right? So then we get in there, within a minute of being in the room, I'm asleep. So I wake up in recovery, and before my eyes are even open, I'm telling the nurse, who I just assume is there, I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom bad. Like, just like the most intense urge to go to the bathroom. So this is gonna be a lot of like information. If it's like too much, just go ahead and click off. I have other vlogs, guys, but like I said, I want people to be prepared. I want you to know what to expect because I was not prepared. Right away, like you have to go to the bathroom, but then you try to go to the bathroom and not only does it hurt, you're not like going much. And then you go and then you feel like you still have to go. So, and then I was like worried. So I kept going to the bathroom and then I'm like, they wheel me out, right? And then I'm like, no, I think I have to, cause okay, so the doctor was probably like 25 minutes away from my house. So they're like wheeling me out like I'm gonna go home, but I'm like, no, I think I have to go to the bathroom again. Cause I was so scared I was gonna like pee my pants on the way home or something, because when I tell you like, you have to go, like you have the urge, you go pee, but you still feel like you have to pee so bad. It's just like pressure. Okay, so what they do for the procedure, I'm not gonna use technical terms. I'm not a doctor. So they go up there with a laser and they laser the stone. And then I was told, like when you do the research on the procedure, they say they like put a little basket up there and they like take the big pieces and they get them out. But then I found out later from my doctor that they don't do that because he said that there's just more chance of them hurting something, like damaging something, by putting more tools up there. So what they're supposed to do, take the laser, make the stone like to dust, the smallest that they can get it, and then there's like little particles. Then they put a stent in. So from your kidney to your bladder, there's like a plastic stent, and that's keeping like, I don't know if it's like a tube or like how big it is, but in my mind, I think of it like a tube. It like holds it open because after like having the laser go up there and stuff, it could be inflamed, it could swell, and then you have these little particles of stones or whatever size, and you have to get rid of them. So they want to make sure it's like held open and you don't have discomfort if you're passing it. So you have a stent. When I tell you that stent is so awful, no one warned me. but we'll get to that. Okay, so I get in the car and I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna have to go home. The hospital was about 25 minutes away from my house. And by the time I got home, I remember like turning on my street and think like the pain was like kicking in. So they didn't send me home with any pain pills. So I'm assuming I didn't have pain medication during surgery, which I think is crazy because like I said, 25 minutes after I left the hospital, the pain was kicking in. So I get in my house and right away I'm so nauseous. So I take medicine for nausea, and I don't even think I took like Tylenol or anything because I was so nauseous. And that's like the worst thing in the world to me, to be nauseous. So I'm just like, okay, like let this medicine kick in, like I'll be fine once it kicks in. The pain got so bad so fast. So within 30 minutes from getting home, I started throwing up. And so I'm thinking like, oh, it's from the surgery. And then the pain is just getting worse and worse. So it's like my kidney. So my side is aching. And when I tell you guys, it was the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. And I've been through some things. I have a very high pain tolerance. And this was excruciating, unbearable pain. Like I can't even explain. It was so bad. And so it just kept, it kept getting worse and worse. And so I'm in so much pain, I'm throwing up. And so I'm kind of like, and okay, I think this is why it's so bad, because I feel like usually when something's painful, it's like you feel pain and then it stops. And then maybe you have more pain. It's not constant. Like this pain was constant and it was just getting worse. So there was no relief. You know what I mean? Like I threw up more probably that day than I have the last 10 years. Like I never throw up. So the pain was so bad. My friend stops by and I was crying, just bawling. So I'm thinking like my whole plan going into this, because I was kind of like, do I make this video? Do I not? But I was like vlogging along the way just in case. So my plan was to like update you guys and like, okay, it's been like this long after surgery. This is what I'm feeling. So you know like exactly what to expect, right? Because, you know, I was like on the fence about making the video, but I'm like, just in case, let me record this stuff leading up to it just in case. I'm crying and I'm just like thinking like, okay, this has to pass. Like I have to stop throwing up. Once I stop throwing up, I can take some Tylenol. That'll help the pain. Like this has to get better. It just kept getting worse and worse. I'm like in horrible pain and my friend is like, what do you want me to do? Like, what can I do? Like, how can I make it better? And I just like literally could not think. And when I think the bad part is because there's no relief, because it's just like this horrible pain in your side and it's just worse and worse. And it just doesn't give you a break. She's like, what do you want me to do? What can I do to help? I'm like, I just want someone to knock me out. Like I literally could not take being awake for 5 more seconds because it was so bad. And so she's like, do you want to go to the hospital? And I'm like, okay. Like that thought didn't even pop in my head. And I'm so thankful that she was here, because honestly, I think if she wasn't, I think I probably would have passed out from the pain. I don't know what would have happened, because like, I don't know, like going to the hospital, that just didn't enter my mind. I was just like so in it and so in the pain, like, yeah, like so in like the pain of what was going on. The doctor, and I explained what was going on, and I told her 2 things, because I feel like sometimes, like I never want someone to think like, oh, you're like going to the hospital pretending because you want pain pills. Like I had to stress the fact I don't take pain medicine. I have a very high pain tolerance and I feel like I'm dying. Like that's how serious this is, you know? So she's like, okay, we're gonna do imaging. We're gonna give you an IV so they could give me pain medicine and medicine to like stop me from throwing up, because I couldn't actually like take any pills. So they had to do everything by IV. And so when she said imaging, she's like, to make sure everything's okay. And I'm like, do you think something's wrong? Because then I'm like, oh my gosh, like, did they mess something up? And she's like, well, you're in here in excruciating pain. Something is wrong. And I'm like, okay. So they do the imaging and she said it looked okay. She showed it to me and then she was like, this is the stent. And then she showed it's like how it's connected. It's like a little T and then a straight line and then it connects again and like a little loop, like a circle. So She showed me that. She's like, it looks like it's in place. Oh, she also said, she's like, I'm gonna call your doctor and let him know what's going on. Whatever she said she gave me, it was the strongest thing she could give me that wasn't a narcotic. So she gave me that. They gave me medicine so I'd stop throwing up. And then I needed the IV because at this point I'm dehydrated. She spoke to the doctor and he was just kind of like, you know, some people have this and like some people go through this and some people don't. Like sometimes it's bad and sometimes it's not. It is what it is. She gave me a prescription, but it was like Motrin or Tylenol or whatever, but like prescription strength. It wasn't like a pain pill. So I was like taking that after and it was under control. Once I left the hospital, I was so scared that that pain was gonna come back. So like if the prescription said take every 4 hours, I was making sure every 4 hours I was taking it. Oh, I was also, my doctor did call in like a, kind of like a muscle relaxer, but specifically for the bladder so it doesn't spasm. So I was taking that. I was taking the like urinary tract pills, that's to help with like urgency and like discomfort, and then whatever like regular pain reliever. But as far as the stent, that was pretty bad the whole time, but it's crazy because you get used to it pretty fast. So at first I was just like, there's no way, like I can't have this in for 2 weeks. I need it out now. But obviously he wouldn't take it out. I tried to schedule my appointment early so they could take it out early and they wouldn't. So you get used to it. It's funny. So the day that I got my stent out, as soon as they took it out, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I didn't realize that whole time I felt like I had to pee. For those 2 weeks, it was like the constant need and pressure, like you have to pee. So yeah, the 2 weeks, you know, I didn't do much. And that's another thing, like you feel like you have to pee all the time. So then if you're like out and about and it's like you have to go pee, like that's kind of gives you anxiety, you know what I mean? So I didn't really like do much like during the whole recovery time, but the pain never got like excruciating. So then I had to go back to get the stent removed. And I did find some videos about that and I was so scared. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like after what I went through the first night, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna be so bad. So I had the appointment super early in the morning and honestly it wasn't bad. So in the office they actually offer this thing, it's like Pronox or something. I know like med spas offer it. It's this little like handheld mouthpiece and you breathe it in and it's supposed to take away pain. And they were advertising that in the office and I was like, can I do that? And she was like, I don't really think you should. The nurse, she's like, it's like $75 and this is over so fast. Like, I don't want you to waste your money. And I'm like, I'm scared. Like I was terrified. She's like, no, I don't think you should do it. So I'm like, okay. So honestly, removing it wasn't bad. So the doctor comes in, he has a little camera so he can see what he's doing. So, you know, like when you have surgery and the stent is put in, you're asleep. But when they take it out, you're just in the office and you're not asleep. So I think he used a little bit of numbing and then they just kind of go up there with a tool and they just yank it out. I mean, that's honestly what they do. It's so fast. It kind of just felt like pressure, but it was literally just like done, out, so fast. So I wouldn't be scared of that part. I would say the first time you go to the bathroom after it comes out, it was kind of that stinging, uncomfortable feeling a little bit again. But the whole time that the stent was in there, it didn't hurt to go to the bathroom the way it did that first night. But every time you go to the bathroom, you would feel like, the way I can describe it, because it's your kidney, like the stent, it's like the stent is pulling on your kidney. It felt like someone grabbing your kidney. Like, so it was like a sharp pain. Removing it was not bad at all. And then he explained that I had to come back in a month and I had to do another ultrasound. And I was just like, why? Like, I thought this was over. So he explained anytime they do intervention, which is like, you know, going up there and lasering the stone or shockwave or whatever, he said they want to make sure they don't damage anything. They want to make sure the kidney's draining. So I just recently had my 1 month follow-up. I had to do an ultrasound again. My follow-up wasn't great. I felt like they didn't give me a lot of information. So basically he said the ultrasound looks like there's still like a little piece of a kidney stone in there. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Isn't this why we did the laser, to like get rid of it? He's like, well, the ultrasound's not really that accurate. So I don't know why we're doing the ultrasound. And then he said I have to come back in 6 months. I'm like, wait, am I gonna have to come here every 6 months? Like, is this gonna be an ongoing thing? And they said they do the 1 month, and they do the 6 months, and then you follow up once a year. They did give me some paperwork. So basically, if your body makes kidney stones, there's a lot of stuff you shouldn't eat. So this is a low oxalate diet. I think that's how you say it. So you guys can Google that, but I'm sure your urologist will give you this paperwork. But just so you understand how much stuff you're not allowed to have. Black tea, chocolate milk, nuts, nut butters, sesame oil, fruit cake. It's random. There's things I'm skipping over, like that I'm like, I would never eat. Blackberries, blueberries, orange peel, canned strawberries, pretzels, whole wheat bread, whole wheat flour, figs, fruit cocktail, lemon peel, tangerines, beans, beets, carrots, celery, eggplant, kale, olives, like literally nothing. Sweet potato. There's a list of things you're allowed to have. These are the things you're not allowed to have. And I just realized sweet potatoes are on this list, and spinach. So I was telling my friend, I'm not allowed to eat spinach anymore. I was like, I was literally eating spinach every single day. He's like, okay, Popeye. No, I was eating spinach every day because I'm like, oh, it's like an easy vegetable. Like, let's be healthy. Nope. So I don't know if that contributed to it, but I literally every single day. So I'm not allowed to eat spinach anymore. And I recently was buying sweet potatoes. I literally bought sweet potatoes today. It's on the list. I'm not allowed to have sweet potatoes either. Gosh dang it. I don't know how accurate the list is. I don't know if that will help, but I never want to go through that again. So I am going to make like an effort to not have those things. That was my long story of what happened to me and how awful it was. But this is what I think you guys should do. If you're planning for this procedure, these are my tips. 100% use the, get the UTI pills. And tell your doctor, like, this whole, like, giving you prescriptions after you have surgery, like, no, you should have your prescriptions before. Like, that's crazy to wait, like, the day of, you know? So definitely the UTI pills. They're red pills for UTI. Your doctor will know what you're talking about. Those, the bladder one for, like, the spasm, I don't know if that helped, but I don't know. I mean, he suggested it, so I would ask for that again. And then I should look and see what they gave me. It was literally like Motrin or Tylenol or whatever, but prescription strength. So it wasn't like anything crazy. So, you know, definitely like have that ready. But a big difference is having this, or if I ever did it again, I would recommend having the conversation with your doctor. All doctors are different. So maybe some doctors are giving pain medicine during surgery. My doctor clearly did not. He doesn't prescribe it after usually, and I was in pain 25 minutes after like I left the hospital, so clearly there was nothing in my system for pain. So that's a big thing. Like, I think you should tell your doctor, talk to your doctor, see what they normally do. If they're like my doctor and they don't use pain medication, I would request that 100%, whether they're doing it during surgery, if the nurse is giving it to you after surgery, like when you're in recovery, whatever, before you leave the hospital, I would definitely get pain medicine, because 25 minutes after, the excruciating pain was starting. If your doctor's like mine, I would have a very serious conversation with them just to prevent that. The over-the-counter stuff is fine once that's under control, but in the beginning, you definitely need something stronger. Here she goes. Come here. Come on. Hollywood's sitting on the corner of the couch, like on the armrest, but over there, but facing the couch. She's so dramatic. It's like I'm ignoring her, so she's being dramatic. If anyone is new here, Hollywood is my cat. She has quite the personality, and she has a pretty big presence on my channel, I would say. She's not in a lot of videos, but like, she's there. You know what I mean? So thanks for watching, guys. I know this is a completely different style of video than what I normally make, but like I said, I really wanted to share my experience. I hope my tips and story can help someone. It makes your surgery a lot easier and at least prepare you for what's going on. This video was definitely not to scare anyone or to make you not want to get the surgery. I just think if I was prepared, it would have been a lot better. So thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions about things I didn't cover, or if you want more details about something I did, comment below and I will respond. If you guys have this surgery, I hope it goes well, and I hope most of you never have to have it. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.